I shouldn't be feeling this. I shouldn't be having this experience. This shouldn't be happening to me. Life shouldn't be like this. This moment shouldn't be like this. Notice any tendency for that to creep in and take hold of the experience. Those two, the containment of, or the limitation of experience by labeling it as something, and then the interpretation of it by saying this shouldn't be happening, I shouldn't be feeling this. There's usually a follow-on from that. It's going to kill me, it's unbearable, I'm going to die, I'm going to go crazy, or whatever. Stop. Stop. Stop that. See it. Recognize it. Don't stop it by overpowering it with your mind. First of all, recognize it. And notice how it creates suffering. It is the cause of suffering. It is the cause of forming an identity out of your experience. I am angry. I am sad. I am a victim of my experience. That's what it's saying. It creates the ego identity, the me identity, me as this or me as that. And when it's repetitive, which it is because of our karmic and conditioned grooves, the matrix of our history, our biography, cultural, personal, social, it seems that that's who you are. You become that person, at least in the construct of self. And you believe yourself to be a victim of life because it's been painful, or there's been trauma, or there's been this, or there's been that. And I feel pain, and the same pain over and over again. Creates the me identity, and that's the ego identity. The ego identity is either a victim or tries to overcome its core sense of unworthiness and not enoughness through being competitive, being comparative, being overpowering, over-controlling, in control. So it's on a continuum again. But at either end of the continuum, or anywhere on that continuum, it's still a victim of its experience. It's responding from victimhood, from separation, and not from oneness with what is, which is the only liberation and true power and invincibility there is. So let's continue. When there is interpretation, there is then an interference. If you interpret something as unwelcome, shouldn't be happening to me, there is an interference with that experience. I don't want to feel it. Resistance, resistance. And then there are many strategies of resistance. We attempt to pretend it's not there. It's not happening, I'm not feeling this. We can numb out, we can space out. We can pretend to be so spiritual that we're above it. We can be non-dual and there's nobody here. Nothing happening. We can shrink and become smaller than life, separate from life, scared of life. We can try to protect ourselves, defend ourselves, not be exposed, not be vulnerable, not be open. We can close. We can try and control the situation and make it different by working on ourselves, becoming a better person, a more confident person, a more strong person, a more worthy person. I can tell you that doesn't lead to anywhere. Tried that for a long time. there are many strategies, obvious strategies and not so obvious strategies. It is your job, nobody else's, to uncover those strategies and be very honest with yourself what those strategies are. To expose them. Mostly we don't want to expose them. They're there lurking around because that brings up some sort of shame or some sort of discomfort or some sort of grief or heartbreak. But to expose them. They're very welcome here in the sense that whatever needs to be exposed through honest sharing and examination is part of bringing things to light, not to therapize them, not to fix them, but just so they can be revealed in you and released. The more we see clearly, which is not self-psychoanalysis, but just seeing that universal mechanism that takes place of ego formation, which we're describing as interpretation and interference, then the more likely we are to see how futile that whole mechanism is. How it just creates more suffering, more separation. Now, again, this may not happen in one fell swoop. It doesn't need to happen in one fell swoop. It can be gradual. In this experience, in this experience, in this relationship, in this interaction, whether it's work or a personal relationship or whatever it might be. When we, at some point, the possibility is that that mechanism kind of outlives its purpose. It no longer serves to protect you, but it's building a stronger and stronger, or tighter and tighter, prison. And that's when we long to come home. We can't just come home. We can in moments of silence or moments of being in nature or moments of being here. But in everyday life, we also need to see the mechanism that creates suffering. Once it's seen, perhaps, and kind of burnt itself out to some degree, there's the possibility of just stop. Yeah? Stop is actually very gentle and very simple. Not overpowering, say it again, not overpowering mind with mind, not overpowering ego activity with more ego activity. I have to get rid of this, I have to stop, otherwise I'm not getting it, I'm not going to be happy, I'm not going to be spiritual, I'm not going to be awakened. No, this is just ego adding to ego. Stop comes from a deep willingness, a deep love affair with what is true. What is true is the direct experience of what is. Everything else is an overlay. Everything else is an overlay. The phenomenal display. What is true is pure. What is true is naked. What is true has no self in it. What is true has no boundary to it. That's when the radiance of being can filter into every experience, every phenomenal display, so that that which is experienced isn't out there. It's just an endless unfoldment of God's expression through you, as you, inseparable from the light of being.